All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves and dig into a really foundational concept in microeconomics. That's consumer choice theory. But we're not just going to talk theory, we're going to take it and put it right where it belongs, in a manager's toolkit. We'll explore how this all works in the real world using a pretty simple scenario. 3 different people all choosing a vacation. By the time we're done, you won't just know the theory, you'll know exactly how to use it. So, let's frame the problem. This is the central puzzle for pretty much any business out there. You've got one product line, in our case 3 vacation packages, but 3 different customers walk away with 3 totally different choices. How does that happen? Is it just random? No, absolutely not. This is a business problem that economics actually gives us the tools to solve. And you know what? Solving it is the absolute key to having an effective strategy, great marketing, and smart product design. First up, let's talk about the most straightforward case, the budget traveler. We're starting here because their decision-making process, well, it's the bedrock of consumer theory. It's all about one thing: constraints. And the single most important concept for understanding this segment is the budget constraint. Think of it like a hard wall, a line drawn in the sand. It is the absolute non-negotiable limit on what they can spend. See, this isn't about being cheap. It's a mathematical reality. Their income dictates a very specific set of choices they can afford, and everything else, it's just off the table. As a manager, you have to get this. For this customer, the first question isn't, what do I want? It's, what can I possibly afford? And look, this table just illustrates the reality perfectly. They choose package A. Why? It's simple. Packages B and C fall completely outside their budget constraint. There's no deep, complex trade-off analysis going on here. In a way, the decision is already made for them by their income. They are maximizing their experience, but only from within that affordable set of options. Okay, so let's get to the why behind this choice. Let's talk about utility. It sounds fancy, but utility is just an economist's word for satisfaction or happiness. For this traveler, the satisfaction they get from keeping that money in their pocket is huge. I mean, that saved cash could pay for groceries for a week or cover a bill. So the marginal utility, that little bit of extra satisfaction from that saved money, is way, way bigger than the tiny bit of extra satisfaction they might get from a slightly nicer room. And here it is, the big takeaway for you as a business leader. If the budget traveler is your core market, then investing in fancy luxury amenities is a total waste of your capital. Your resources have to go into operational efficiency, into managing your supply chain, into anything that lowers your cost structure. I mean, think about companies like Aldi or Ryanair or Motel 6. Their entire business model is built to serve this customer's utility function, where price isn't just a factor, it's the factor. All right, let's move on to our next segment and see how this gets a little more complex. This is the value seeker. And honestly, for most businesses, this is where the real complexity and the real opportunity is. Their decision isn't about a hard wall anymore. It's a balancing act. So we introduced this concept, but let's really lock it in. Marginal utility is the engine that drives the choices for this segment. They are constantly, maybe even subconsciously, running a mental calculation. Is the additional happiness I get from this upgrade worth the additional money it's going to cost me? It's the simple economics of, is it worth it? And their choice here tells us the outcome of that calculation. They go with package B. Now, this is critical. They could have afforded package A, but they rejected it. And they likely couldn't afford or just chose not to afford package C. They found their sweet spot right there in the middle. I want you to think of this as their mental spreadsheet. In the gained column, they get a nicer room, maybe a better view, and a fun activity. In the lost column, well, they have less money. For this customer, the stuff in the gained column outweighs the stuff in the lost column. The trade-off is absolutely worth it. They are consciously and willingly exchanging money for a better experience. And right here is the direct contrast with our first traveler. Remember the budget traveler? For them, the utility of cash was supreme. But for our value seeker, the utility of the experience that's paid for by that cash has now become higher. They've decided the fun of that water sport is going to provide more happiness than just looking at that same amount of money sitting in their bank account. So as a manager, this segment requires a much more sophisticated strategy. You need tiered offerings, the classic good, better, best model. And your marketing, it can't just scream low price. It needs to justify the price difference. Your job is to spell out the value, to explain exactly why the deluxe room is worth the extra money. You are basically helping them solve their marginal utility equation, but in your favor.
Okay, on to our final segment, and this is where the traditional rules of price sensitivity start to, well, dissolve. For the luxury traveler, the entire framework of choice shifts away from what can I afford to what is the absolute best possible experience I can get.
To really get this mindset, we need a new tool, the indifference curve. Think of it like a contour map, but for satisfaction. Every single point along one of those lines gives the consumer the exact same level of happiness. The goal, always, is to use your budget to get to the highest possible curve on the map. Well, for the luxury traveler, their budget is so big, they can reach curves, levels of satisfaction that other people can't even see on their map. And because of that, their decision is pretty predictable, isn't it? They select package C, the villa. The choice isn't being driven by a cost-benefit analysis anymore. It's driven purely by a desire to maximize their utility on a completely different scale. So what defines utility for them? It's not value for money. It's things like exclusivity, privacy, and unparalleled quality. The satisfaction they get from, say, a private beach dinner, an experience that's defined by the very fact that not everyone can have it, provides such a massive boost in utility that the price tag becomes almost an afterthought. They are literally buying their way onto the highest indifference curve possible. The strategic implication here is just profound. If you're targeting this segment, you're not in the business of selling goods or services. You're in the business of crafting experiences and building a powerful brand. Your investments aren't in cost-cutting. They're in impeccable service, in brand storytelling, and in creating status. Think about it. You're not trying to be the next Holiday Inn. You're trying to be the Four Seasons. You're selling a position on that satisfaction map that only a select few can reach. Okay, so we've journeyed through 3 really distinct economic mindsets. Let's pull this all together. It's time to distill all of this theory into a clear, actionable playbook that you can take and apply to your own business strategy starting tomorrow. So, at the end of the day, the crucial point is this. Your strategy has to follow the customer. If you serve the budget traveler, your entire operation must be a finely tuned machine optimized for price leadership. If you serve the value seeker, your business is all about smart bundling and clearly communicating value. And if you serve the luxury traveler, you have to compete on brand and exclusivity. It's that simple. Know your customer's utility function, and you will know your strategy. And this leaves us with the final, and I think most critical question for you to take back to your teams. When you look at your customers, do you see them as individuals making a calculated choice based on their own unique constraints, trade-offs, and desires? Or do you just see another sale? Because applying this microeconomic lens, well, that's the difference between simply processing transactions and truly building a business that creates and captures real, sustainable value.